They say some moments are ordinary until they aren't. And that afternoon should have been just that, ordinary. The air was warm, light breaking through the oak trees hanging over a quiet residential street. Leaves flickering gold in the sun, like little reminders that time moves slow if you let it. But not that day. Not for Brigadier General Celeste Harper. For her, it would be the kind of day that burns itself into memory, not just her own, but the whole nation's. She wasn't there for anything dramatic, just a coffee stop on the way to a classified debrief at the Pentagon. She'd been running through talking points in her head, thinking about logistics projections and field reports, barely noticing the world around her. Wearing sleek black slacks and a steel gray blouse, she moved with the confidence of someone who'd led more missions than most people could name. Her car, a spotless black government-issued Chrysler, still clicked softly as it cooled. That kind of detail, the type of car, the way she walked, the angle of her shoulders, those were the things two local officers across the street zeroed in on. They didn't see a national hero. They didn't see the woman who designed the tactical movement system that kept frontline soldiers alive. They didn't see 20 years of decorated service, or the scars, or the midnight phone call she took to authorize missions nobody would ever know about. All they saw was a black woman stepping out of a high-end car in the wrong part of town. Suspicious vehicle, one of them muttered. The other nodded. She doesn't belong here. Celeste didn't hear any of that. She was already halfway inside the coffee shop, the buzz of air conditioning hitting her skin, the smell of espresso pulling her back to the moment. She ordered an iced Americano, the same thing she got every Thursday afternoon, then stepped back outside, sipping it as she prepared to head back toward D.C. But her day didn't go back to normal. Because those officers were waiting for her now, license and registration, one of them said, flat and authoritative. She raised an eyebrow, casual but unamused. "Excuse me." "You heard me," he said, tone sharpening. There was a coldness there, too sharp for a routine stop, too practiced. Celeste met his eyes, her voice calm but edged. "And what's the reason?" "You fit a description," the taller one said, adjusting his belt like he was about to square up. "I'm Brigadier General Celeste Harper," she replied, slowly, clearly. "I'm on my way to a classified briefing at the Pentagon. This stop is both uncalled for and inappropriate." The shorter cop let out a dry chuckle. "No one's above the law, ma'am." She didn't blink. Apparently, not even the people who write it. That was all it took. The taller one lunged first, grabbing her wrist and twisting it back in one rough motion. She didn't scream, just let out a tight gasp as her drink hit the pavement and exploded in a spray of ice and dark coffee. Cold steel closed around her wrists, the handcuffs biting into skin still warm from sunlight. It happened fast. Too fast. "You're resisting arrest," he growled. People on the sidewalk stopped. Some stared. Some pulled out their phones. It was one of those scenes where time seems to slow. A woman of rank and poise shoved face first onto the hood of a cruiser, her dignity bruised but posture still defiant. She didn't cry, didn't yell, didn't flinch. And when she spoke, her voice cut like wire through the heavy air. "You have no idea who you just handcuffed," she said quietly. "But in 20 minutes, you'll wish you never put that uniform on." They laughed. Of course they did. The shorter one leaned close, smirking. "You're not calling anybody." But Celeste wasn't talking to him anymore. "I need a civilian," she said, louder now, eyes scanning the bystanders. "Someone help." A young man, mid-20s, hoodie half-zipped, nerves in his shoulders, stepped forward. "You," she said. "What's your name?" "Marcus," he replied, voice shaking. "Marcus, I need you to call a number. It's a Pentagon emergency line. Say exactly what I tell you, nothing more." The cops rolled their eyes. One let out a mocking whistle. But Marcus nodded, pulling out his phone. Celeste closed her eyes, then rattled off a string of numbers from memory, 9 digits and a verification code used only by top clearance personnel. Only a few dozen people on Earth even knew it existed. The line picked up after 2 rings. A clipped, precise voice answered. "Pentagon secure line." "Who's calling?" Marcus stumbled. "She said her name is General Harper." She's been handcuffed. Officers, badge numbers 3817 and 3820. She said to say September 18th, 42, and September 20th, 42. Silence. Then, sharply, put her on. Marcus held the phone to Celeste's ear. She didn't hesitate. "This is Brigadier General Celeste Harper," she said. "I've been unlawfully detained by 2 local patrolmen, requesting immediate verification of jurisdiction and command. Badge numbers confirmed, 3817 and 3820. The next pause felt like the breath before an explosion. Then the officer's radio, still clipped to his chest, crackled to life. "All units, stand down. I repeat, all units, stand down. Backup en route. Immediate contact from Regional Command. Stand by." The officers froze. A second later, a new voice buzzed through the radio. Thicker, older, full of fury. "Which one of you idiots cuffed a Pentagon-level officer?" The taller one opened his mouth, but no words came out. Marcus stepped back, still recording. Black SUVs squealed to a stop at the curb. No markings, just shadows and authority. Men stepped out, some in suits, others in fatigues. Federal agents. Serious ones. The cuffs came off fast. The officer's hands were trembling. Celeste's wrists were marked, but not broken. She turned, slowly, her voice low. "I want every complaint, every stop, every report with those badge numbers. Start digging." The agents nodded. One of the officers tried to speak. "Ma'am, I mean, General," she raised a hand. "You don't get to talk to me anymore." And with that, she turned and stepped into one of the SUVs. The door shut quietly behind her. By the next morning, it was everywhere. Every major outlet ran the story. Brigadier General detained without cause. The footage from cell phones had gone viral. The moment she stared them down. The moment they were ordered to stand down. The reversal. By that evening, both officers had been suspended. By Friday, they were charged. Unlawful detainment, abuse of power, racial profiling. The police chief resigned 3 days later. But Celeste? She didn't demand revenge. She demanded change. She stood at a press conference later that week, flanked by civil rights leaders, military officials, and community advocates. Cameras flashed. Reporters leaned in. "This wasn't about me," she said, voice steady. "This was about every black woman who walks into a room and gets questioned. Every veteran who fought wars for this country and still gets treated like a threat. Every person who's been told they don't belong based on what they look like." Silence in the face of that. That's complicity. Someone asked if she'd file a lawsuit. She shook her head. "I don't want money. I want better." And better came. The entire precinct was placed under federal oversight. A new civilian review board was formed. Every officer was required to complete training on civil rights, racial bias, and federal jurisdiction. Mandatory, no exceptions. As for Celeste, she was back at the Pentagon by Monday. Same posture, same resolve. Nothing broken, nothing dulled. She kept mentoring young officers, especially young women who looked like her. She didn't mention that day often, but it stayed with her, not as trauma, but as a reminder, because that's why she served. Not just for foreign battles, but for the fight right here. For the promise of an America that still has growing to do, even when America forgets who she is. Celeste Harper remembers. Even when they try to bind her, silence her, question her worth, she stands, she speaks, she commands, and she always will.